What's up, everybody? We are out here in a very wet Windrock Bike Park here in Oliver Springs, Tennessee, to give you a first ride look at the Generation 3 Canyon Sender. This is Canyon's dedicated race machine. They have built this with racers in mind, and the only goal with this bike was to go as fast as possible. I'm stoked to get out on the trail, get muddy, and give this thing a thrashing. Let's go check it out. What's a big takeaway you can give someone that is potentially looking to bring this bike into their home of bike suite and maybe change out their Gen 2 Sender?
I would say if you're riding rough, fast tracks, if you're a racer full stop,
sure, this
this bike is way more stable. It loves rough tracks. It loves to go fast. It is a proper race bike.
Sure.
And if that's your jam, whatever the trails you like to ride, like the rougher, the faster, the better this bike's gonna work.
Yeah,
it is a proper race bike. Like, we're so stoked on it. Like,
absolutely.
At the World Cups, it's like, let the holes get big. Like, we're like really happy with how it handles like really rough terrain,
sure,
like proper technical, steep, hard downhill riding. This bike is absolutely perfect for it.
I have to say also, not a racer. Still had fun playing around, like it still is that, but it is aimed at that.
For sure.
Yeah, so,
it's a downhill bike.
Yeah,
it's always gonna be fun.
First few laps on the bike has been a hoot. Definitely getting it up to speed. The more I'm trusting it, the more speed you're generating. As far as the shock and rear suspension goes, man, it is just so smooth. Kicking it out on these tight corners, pretty easy, honestly. Doesn't feel too sluggish out the back. Let the bike work. Definitely a lot of confidence when it comes to letting loose. Man, as the speeds pick up, God, the confidence in this bike just grows so much. Just trusting it on these high speed corners. This is kind of gnarly. All right, some jumps. Oh, I love this section. Oh, it just sits in so good. Oh boy, she's wet. Oh boys.
It's time we dive into some of the numbers and learn a little bit more about what makes a race bike a race bike. So at 6'1", I opted to ride the size medium. This medium comes with a 468 mil reach with a headset cup that is plus or minus 8 millimeters. The head tube angle on the bike in the high position is 63 degrees. Stack is 630 millimeters. The chainstay length is 438 mil, but grows at sag by 18 millimeters. Overall, this produces a wheelbase of 1,273 mil. So as I've mentioned a few times, there's quite a bit of adjustability on this bike. This new frame receives that headset cup, which gives you that plus or minus 8 mil. I opted to run it right in the middle setting, as I wasn't really up to race speed and didn't feel I really needed a longer reach, and really liked how nimble and agile that allowed me to be on the bike. Canyon's reasoning behind this is to give riders a better size range, right? So it is strange on paper at 6'1" to opt for a size medium, but this size medium, Troy rides it in the short position. So it is very much a bike that is moldable to the rider and what a rider wants to receive. Having that ability to go plus or minus in that headset cup, I think, is a really cool addition they have brought to this frame. The leverage rate on the bike is also adjustable. You can opt for a more progressive or a more linear setting. The top shock mount actually flips. There's no chip. It's the whole mount flips 180 degrees and produces a more linear or progressive ride feel. When riding the bike in the linear setting, you run a 32.7% progression rate, and in the progressive setting, you are up to 37%. Additionally, you can opt for a high or low bottom bracket position, or as Canyon has put it, a low and lower position. Like with all modern Canyon bikes, the KISS system is on this frame. It is easily removable if you don't like it. I don't mind this system, but I always opt to run it with the least amount of rider input. I found that when I do ride it in the harder settings, I kind of get a little pull on off cambers, and that's the biggest area that I struggle. So having that system tuned all the way down just gives me a better rider feel and for what I like. One of the key design features Canyon has gone for is consistent anti-squat across the entire range on the cassette. So no matter what gear you're in, you're getting that constant suck to the ground feel. And it's very apparent even just in the car park here, sitting on the bike, grabbing the brake, the suspension works, and even more so on the trail, you really notice it when compressions get heavy and you're really driving that bike into the ground. And man, I really enjoyed that, being able to sit into the bike, and it allows me to keep my body position more centered on the bike and really get that hand pressure on the bars and rail corners. Rail corners the way I can, at least.
I'm Troy Rosnan. I ride and race for Canyon Collective Downhill team, and that's pretty much it. Australian?
Yeah. Any consumer looking at this bike, the big change is going to that high pivot, right?
Yeah.
Does that change because it sits in so well? Has that changed your braking points? Knowing these tracks so well, did you go back to a track you've ridden, a dozen times, be like, whoa, I can brake like way later and still get the same drive out of the corners?
Yeah, I think with this new bike, it's crazy. Like if you just sit on it in the bike park, like just in the car park, and you bounce up and down, and then you grab the brakes, you still go up and down.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't lock.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy. Under braking, like all the suspension is still working. It's still active. It's still, helping you to keep that rear wheel on the ground and have traction and actually pull you up. So you do find yourself, like maybe you don't realize it, but you will find yourself like braking later with this bike. And the old one would kind of lock up and get a bit like hung up and stuff, where this new one is just like completely just still plush. As soon as you're locked up, it's still active. Obviously not as well as being off the brakes, but sometimes you have no choice, right?
Well, I'm on the brakes a lot, so it really helps. And I'm glad you said that, because that was the biggest takeaway for me, was how smooth it was under braking and controlled, which then allowed me to not stiffen up and not get my body weight for it. All right, folks, so we just finished up the first morning on the new Sender. We have someone very special here to give us a little rundown on the changes. Who are you, sir, and what do you do for Canyon?
My name is Fabien Barol. I used to ride downhill for quite some time, and been 30th year, actually this year, as a pro athlete to work within the brands, and I am the director of the Canyon Collective.
And how long has this project for the third version of the Sender been?
Well, the very first moment where I identified that we needed an evolution was end of 2021, and we get along with the chart, etc. in 23, and went along with the first prototyping in 23 to be able to finalize the product just now and have the first races actually happening last year.
Let's kind of quickly speak on the adjustability. So that's been a big thing with Sender from the beginning.
Correct.
Having that adjustability.
Yep.
I think the biggest standout with this new frame is that giant headset cup and the ability to go, is it 8 millimeters forward and aft?
Yeah.
When developing the bike, what led you to give such a wide range?
Well, first of all, we wanted to have all the capacity to have the perfect fit for our athletes. And at the beginning, we were like, okay, for the consumer, maybe we don't need to go that deep. And because our riders, within 5 millimeter gap, they have the capacity of feel, and the perfect adjustment of the reach and stack is what's going to actually position the center of gravity in the most neutral way between the front and rear. So our riders want to be bang on point. And at the end, I said, to be honest, what does that cost? Instead of having 1 centimeter to be able to shift to 16, and we can actually provide the consumer the exact possibility from one size to the other to have the exact same gap that you have on the proper setting adjustment.
Sure.
So now from S to XL, you can within 8 millimeter have the complete perfect fit for yourself. And obviously you need to have the right advice to be able to have the right height of the handlebar and the right position, but then you can be sure that you apply the correct pressure between the front and rear wheel, which I think honestly in gravity is the most important parameter.
Yeah, and I've been really happy. I'm 6'1" on a size medium. We'll go over all the specifics, but I'm running it in the neutral setting, and for the conditions today, it's slow, soft, and sticky, and having a little bit shorter reach gives me some more confidence, but I can see tomorrow, and maybe having this at home, speeds increase, going to the longer setting as well.
Yeah, but like we are the same height, I'm riding in the middle the same way you are, and if it comes down to racing and a higher average speed, then I make it longer.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
All right, we are here to get day 2 underway. I am hoping for dry, sticky conditions today to really get the bike up to speed and start really seeing what the Sender's all about.
Think of it. It is a lot tackier today. Woo. Trying to remember this trail. Yo, that was sick. What are we doing here? Yo, that's so sick!
When it comes to the new chassis, if you could narrow down one big differentiation between Gen 2 versus Gen 3, what would you say that is?
It's hard because I did really like the last year's bike, but I felt we were getting really limited with the tracks that we have now. And that bike had like a very short, like rear wheel travel and like not in terms of like the 200 mil, but like
axle path.
Yeah, the axle path and everything. So it kind of like limited the straight line, like absolute mobbing kind of bit. And this new bike just allows you to just push and keep pushing and just lean back and absolutely eat everything. So for me, the change of like grip as well, like it's better on the small bump, but then it can also eat those huge hits and the compressions and stuff. And it just, we've been playing with like flexing, like stiffness on the frame and like a whole bunch of stuff where the old one like was kind of good out the box, and we kind of got to a point where we'd tried everything but like not really gotten anywhere. And then coming onto this bike, we've just completely just opened the box again.
Yeah! Yeah! All right, man, the Sender, woohoo! A little more pressure in it. Really feeling how much speed, oh yeah, you can develop. Then cut to the inside, oh, I got it. It's so good under heavy braking load, and I'm doing a lot of that. But with that said, it is smooth, still playful and able to kind of pull and place the bike where you want it, but a heavy braking zone. Tip in, off the brakes, I did it. Nice job, Cole. Steep section, get the wrong line. Little pull. Whew. goodness.
All right, we have had an epic few days here in Windrock on the new Canyon Sender. That Gen 3 high pivot has been an absolute hoot here. Almost got it up to speed, we were getting there. While this bike was purely developed with the racer in mind, the not racer myself had a great time. They didn't lose the fun aspect of a downhill bike that we all know and love. They've kept a nice balance of planted, stable, yet the ability to flick that 27 5-inch wheel around is really apparent. This is definitely a bike that if you are racing the clock, you will get seconds back. I got better as the weekend went on. Having a World Cup mechanic help me through setup definitely helped. I went up in spring rate, up in pressure in the fork. As the conditions dried out, as it got faster, I felt more confident knowing the trails and really was able to push the bike as best as I could. Taking the bike down Talladega, which is a smooth bike park trail with fun jumps, little pulls, things like that. It wasn't sluggish, it wasn't dead. I was able to kick the back end out, play and have a great time. Maybe insert clip of me following Luca here because he showed me some fun on-offs, and man, that was just, it put a smile on my face. And that for me, when I look for a bike, I look for a bike that puts the biggest smile on my face, that instills confidence, and the Sender has done that. What I would say is when I was running a little bit lower spring rate, I felt when I was pushing into the bike, I wasn't developing speed. I was just kind of sitting a little deeper in the travel. But I really liked how supple and active the suspension was. And it was really hard to get myself to go away from that and actually go up in spring pressure to get a little bit more rise out of the bike when I was pumping. I did lose a little bit of that suppleness. Of course, I'm going up in spring pressure, but suppleness came back at speed. It was really only on the lower speed things, or maybe I was fatigued towards the end of the day here, that I was getting some feedback that I wasn't so stoked on. But looking at the bike from a racer perspective, you don't really care how it feels, you just want to go fast. So what I would say to someone looking at this bike for maybe their everyday bike park shuttle laps, maybe do the occasional race, if we set it up a little softer in that progressive setting on the shock, I really wasn't bottoming. I definitely bottomed casing jumps, that's for sure, but I was able to ride the bike in a softer setting that just brought in a lot of comfort and loads of traction. I'm looking forward to getting Drew on this and getting his thoughts on it because he was a huge fan of the Generation 2 Sender. So this bike will be under Drew here for some hot laps. And man, it's been an absolute blast here in Windrock. Big thanks to Canyon for having us out and the SRAM boys for staying late after the race. And a big shout out to Fabian for really helping me get confidence on off camber, something that I really struggle with. I know I will take skills back from this weekend to my home trails and immediately be better. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video and stay tuned for the long-term review on the Generation 3 Sender. I'm excited to get Drew on this, get it out to the bike parks on the West Coast once the snow melts, and really have more fun, good laps on this thing. Until next time, we'll catch you out on the trails.